So do you want to be rich in Cyberpunk 2077? Well, in this video, I'm going to have several different ways by which you could make a ton of money. Unlike some other videos out there, I'm actually going to give you a variety of methods because, of course, depending on how you want to play the game, whether you're comfortable with exploits or not, whether or not you actually want to use things like hacks or mods to increase your money. So as the video goes on, the methods will become increasingly profitable, but also increasingly exploitative. So towards the end, we get into the most extreme version, but also making the most money. If you guys do want to subscribe, I'm going to have a lot more Cyberpunk 2077 content coming out over the next couple of days. I have a few big videos I've been working on. Otherwise, let's first take a look at what is the most natural method, really just being a tip for the game overall, and that is access points. I feel like this is something the game doesn't really introduce you to all that well, so you might overlook them or just not really understand what they are. Access points are those little things you could find going from location to location, or especially while doing missions or jobs, that allow you to jack into them and you have to go through the hacking sequence. Except if you successfully do this at any of the 3 tiers, you will not only get components that can be later used for crafting, but also actually eddies. Right off the bat, a quick tip to make the hacking process a bit easier: if you highlight the letter and number combinations on the side, it'll actually show where they are located in the sequence. So you can highlight them real quick and kind of plan out your route for how you're going to click on each of them. I know though finding these at points can be kind of difficult, there are a couple of methods that make this way easier, and this is without a doubt one of the best things to do in a playthrough to just have more money across the board. Some of the higher level ones will give you thousands of eddies at a given point. One early quest you'll get right after you finish the prologue is the gift, this being where you just go to a Ripper dock and they will give you a cybernetic implant mod. This mod allows you to actually ping any cybernetics on a network that will show where an access point is located on that network, so it'll kind of create these lines pointing towards them, making it a lot easier to find and hack access points for money. But what is far more handy is the extended network interface perk. It's just one perk point at breach protocol. It'll make it so access points are automatically highlighted while you're nearby them. So as you're looking around doing a mission or in a location, this red icon will pop up and you'll know there's an access point there for you to hack. And to make it a bit more lucrative, to get not only hundreds or thousands of dollars, but perhaps even several $1,000 from access points and successful hacks, Data Mine Mastermind is another perk you can take that will make it so you get a lot more money across an entire playthrough. The access point method is one of those things, so just keep in the back of your head if you're trying to play very naturally, not kind of denote a couple of hours of your time to making more money, but rather passively making it just as you progress the game overall. This is the method you want. If you want something that's a bit more hands-on and you could do literally from the very start of the game, even with just a couple hundred eddies, it can make you about 100,000 eddies per hour. We also do have the can method. This is one of the most popular and probably the worst method in this video because it's the most tedious, but I'll share it with you either way. Basically, when you go to vending machines in Cyberpunk 2077, you can buy a drink at some of them. And once you actually buy one of these drinks, I found the best success buying the 1080 middle option. You can actually go into your inventory and break this down into common and uncommon components. And basically the way this equation works is you buy this for 10 eddies and you could actually sell those components for more. So after you get one of these cans, you could go to any store and sell this for a profit. So one of the best places you could really take this to the next level is actually at the city center. Right here on the map, if you go to the under part of this building, there are just a ton of vending machines. So as you're spam buying at vending machines, sometimes they'll run out. There's another one typically right next to you. So you can spend a bunch of time here just grinding this out, getting a bunch of these items, scrapping them down in your inventory, then selling them at any vendor, and you'll have a bunch of money. The mechanic perk is one that you could take for just one perk point that will make this a lot more effective and lucrative because you'll get extra components when disassembling. There are a few other perks in here that if you're doing this on a large scale, be pretty nice to take, as you'll get free components or free epic components from time to time. Although again, this is probably the worst method. The real appeal of this one is there are no other requirements. Every other method in this video after this one has something you have to do first. With this one, you literally just have to find a vending machine, which you could do from the very start of the game. Then we do have the char incendiary grenade method, which is a really good one, but you have to be a higher level and specifically have a higher attribute to successfully do. It follows the same logic of the can method, except this time you're disassembling a different item. You're going to want to do this one just by going to this point on the map in San Domingo. There's a cyber psycho right next to this one, but from here, run across the street and you're going to find a bunch of boxes, and specifically one lootable box that does have the crafting spec for the char incendiary grenade. This being a ridiculously OP item that allows you to actually create a char incendiary grenade for one uncommon and one common crafting component, but it it breaks down into epic crafting components. The problem with this one is, even though you could just go here and loot this at any point, to actually be able to craft these grenades, you have to have a 12 in the technical ability attribute, so you can get the Grease Monkey perk. The Grease Monkey perk is the perk that allows you to actually craft epic items. So you're gonna have to do quite a bit of devotion into this particular tree if you want to get this, but it is way more lucrative than the can method, as these will break down into several rare and epic components which sell for way more money. So while the can method, if you're really grinding it, could get you about 100,000 eddies per hour or so, this one will probably get you about 10 times more at 1,000,000, or potentially even higher than that. An important note, if you are selling these at scale, if you want to use this method, you'll notice some of these shops and vendors will run out of money. You could simply wait for 24 hours and their money will be instantly replenished. There's no wait time or load screen, so you could do this in a second, at least on my PC, that's how it worked. And of course, having some of those disassembly perks will help you out here also. If you're doing the can method, this one's just way more lucrative and you can make way more money. But I got one that's even better for you. This is likely the best money-making method in the entire game, and I feel like people just aren't talking about it. It's not necessarily the quickest, but it's pretty damn close. So for this method, you're gonna have to do a job known as Space Oddity. To start this one, you have to be in the Act 2 of the game, so I've completed the prologue and progressed a bit. And to check, just literally go on your map and see if you actually have an icon here. Even if you haven't discovered the job yet, there'll be a question mark that you can set a waypoint to and just travel here and the job will start and be added to your quest book. And it's pretty simple. Just go through the job. There's no special steps you have to take. Just go through it in its normal sequence. Unfortunately, there will be some Militech agents towards the end and you have to kill 7 of these guys. These can be decently high level depending on your items, depending on your build. You may have some trouble taking them down, but just know if you do take them down, and there's only 7, riches are just on the other side of this. And frankly, they seem to kind of single file towards you, so you could normally deal with one at a time and get through them relatively quickly. And basically at the end of Space Oddity, you're going to get this extremely rare painting, being an epic item, and you could sell it for 4,000 eddies. So cool, you got 4,000 eddies. Except for whatever reason, after you sell this item at any vendor, I found the best option is actually selling this at a drop box because there's no other items crowding your view. You simply back out of the menu, re-enter into the menu, and you could buy this back for 5 eddies. Then it'll be back in your inventory, you sell it once again for 4,000, and you continue this process until the vendor runs out of money. Again, I found the Dropbox method to be the best here, and like I mentioned before, once the Dropbox runs out of money or can't afford to buy this off you anymore, simply wait 24 hours and you could reset. I found myself able to make 100,000 eddies from this just in 3 minutes, and actually it was more like 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That would scale up to over 2 million eddies per hour using this method. And the beauty of it is you could just keep this with you at all points. Now, of course, if you already completed this quest and sold this item away, you're gonna have some problems. If you leave it in the vendor's inventory and then wait, it will disappear, so don't make that mistake. You have to make sure you buy it back even if they ran out of money. But one of the other reasons I found this to be one of the best options is you could just always keep this item in your inventory, and in particular when you're buying cybernetics, you can do this exploit again. So buy a couple $100,000 or $50,000 worth of cybernetics and then just take all the money from that vendor by selling this back, exiting, and then buying it back, and so on and so forth. It's really nice because you could kind of do it at your own rate. The exploit that comes after this one requires you to be at a certain point in the story, and this one you could do for 3 minutes, stop, and you still have the painting in your inventory, so you could just go back to it. So we have the one that is probably the most lucrative as far as payment goes, but there are a lot of restrictions on this one, and you of course can't have proceeded too far in the game and in the main story to do it because it requires a main story mission. So you have to be quite a few hours into Cyberpunk 2077, get to the point we are doing the Voodoo Boys mission, that one we saw during the 2019 gameplay. If you're not quite here yet, again, you just have to progress the main story missions. It is one of the main story missions, and more or less as you go to the hotel to clear out some of those enemies, just go through the normal steps, but take down all of the enemies in the hotel, on the outer part, on the inside part, because you can't be in combat or that will mess up the sequence. So it's advised to go the guns blazing route, although you probably could do a stealth route and still get away with it. Either way, just progress the mission, hook up to the van. Probably a good idea to make a save here or somewhere around this part. And then from here, you're going to have the boss fight against Sasquatch, pretty similar to what we saw during the 2019 gameplay. Go through the fight, actually defeat Sasquatch, hopefully. But then when you get to the end of it, once you have Sasquatch downed, you have the dialogue with Placide pop up again. What you're going to want to do here is loot all the items off Sasquatch, kind of let things settle a bit, but don't attack her anymore, because technically as Sasquatch sits here, and specifically when you have this dialogue choice still available, she is not yet dead. You downed her, but you didn't finish her off. So once everything on your screen settles, the combat sequence is over. If for some reason the combat sequence didn't end for you, that sometimes happened to me, load back up that previous save, go through the fight again, and then hopefully it would work. I think it might be a bug with the game. And basically this one's pretty simple. Sasquatch has a bounty on her, so if you kill her, you'll get 30,000 eddies. So while she's in that kind of lying position, just attack her with a weapon, preferably a melee weapon so you don't waste ammo. It'll finish her off, you'll get 30,000 eddies, and then literally just create a new save. This being once you finished her off for good, load that save, and you'll come back to her still technically being alive. So hit her corpse, or in my game she glitched out and was standing, take her down a second time and you'll get another 30,000 eddies. And then basically just repeat that process. Every time you save and load the game, it'll revert Sasquatch to that technically alive position where you could take her down once again and collect that bounty. So this one's super effective. You can make millions upon millions of eddies grinding this, especially over the course of hours. But it's one of the most restrictive thus far because, of course, you have to stay at this stage of the quest. If you continue the quest and you get out of this position, you could no longer farm this particular method. So you have to either collect enough that you're good with this or just never progress the main story of Cyberpunk 2077, which you'll probably want to do at some point. So those are all the methods that work on all platforms. This final one is the simplest. It'll only work on PC though because you're using a third-party program. You're literally cheating or almost hacking the game using external software, but without a doubt is the simplest and easy to use overall. So what you're going to want to download is the Cyberpunk 2077 trainer. It's very straightforward. Just go through the installation. I'll have a link down below to the program and download, set it to work with Cyberpunk 2077. And once you launch the game, literally just hit the hotkeys assigned in this menu. So for money, that'll be F1 and F2. And as you hit F2, the money amount on your character will increase. The way this one works is it's not actually adding money to your character, but rather setting the amount of money you have. So let's say you set your character to have 3 million eurodollars like I do. As you go shop around, it'll cost money technically, but it'll immediately update you back to $3 million. If you want to actually add or lose money again, not just have it consistently sit at the value you set, you're going to have to close the program, which you could do in real time. You don't have to close the game or anything, and then you could just continue playing normally. Your money will be set at this new value, however many times you want to hit F2. So in minutes, you can make yourself tens of millions of dollars if you want to, and just have that on that character from there on out. And to be clear with that one, once you close the program, once you close the trainer, it stops impacting your game, so your money will fluctuate normally. You'll just have whatever value you set, and then it'll fluctuate as you buy and sell things, earn and lose money. It's definitely the most cheaty. It's definitely the easiest of the bunch. I saved it for last because, of course, it's not going to work on consoles. And there's a ton of other pretty cool or handy cheats you could use with this. Unlimited health, unlimited stamina. I definitely have a full video planned on some of the mods for Cyberpunk coming in the next couple of days if you want to look out for that. But otherwise, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully, across this entire video, you found something that works for you. Whether you want the more natural approach of just using some of those access points and getting more money across a playthrough, or if you're willing to grind one of the methods, one of the exploits currently available and get a lot right now. As far as these getting patched out, I have to imagine they're very, very low on the priority list, at least at the time of filming. The game has a ton of bugs still, so those are probably going to get patched first, and it's a single player game. These other exploits are likely not going to get addressed, at least in the near future, and perhaps not even get addressed this year, although that's not saying much because there's only 2 weeks left. Either way, as always, again, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.